Hi everyone, so in today's video we're going to talk about introducing those common allergy foods, um, little tips and tricks around what you can do, and all sorts of other food allergy goals that we're going to share today. So we now know that it's very, very important to introduce the common allergy causing foods early. Between 4 to 6 months is what the guidelines now say. And we want to make sure that we get all these top 9 common allergy foods introduced between the age of 4 to 6 months and 12 months. Think about it in the way that we basically just don't want the immune system to be surprised later down the track. So we want to get these foods in early so the body thinks, oh, this is normal, rather than waiting a really long time to introduce these common allergy foods and then the immune system being surprised. Because remember, allergy is a reaction, an overreaction of the immune system. It is not an intolerance. An intolerance is very uncomfortable, can be extremely life-changing, can interfere with everyday life and be, really, really awful. However, it's not life-threatening. An allergy, we know, when the immune system overreacts, can turn to anaphylaxis, which is life-threatening. So there's some very big differences between allergy and intolerance. Intolerance is just the digestive system at play. Allergy is the immune system at play. Okay, so the 9 common allergenic foods are eggs, cow's milk, tree nuts, sesame, peanut, wheat, fish, shellfish, and soy. And these 9 are responsible for 90% of food allergy. Now, what we now know is that 1 in 10 under 1-year-olds in Australia are allergic, have diagnosed food allergies, and the UK and the US are not far behind. It is an absolute, it's an epidemic of its own. And we need to really kind of start to make a dent in that rise in allergies by introducing these foods early. And we know that this is reducing the rate of childhood food allergy. If you are interested in why we know and some of the studies behind this, there is a study called the LEAP study, LEAP, which stands for Learn Early About Peanut, which Dr. Gideon Lack was involved in, and it's very, very interesting. And it basically, like I said before, we want to get those foods in so the immune system isn't surprised and overreacts. So with egg, we would recommend, having some good, make sure you've got well cooked scrambled egg. It's never wrong to introduce these foods in any way you like if you have a child that does not, or you've got no reason to believe they have allergies. If you want to do dippy egg and soldiers, that's not wrong, okay? But just these are some tips if you are unsure or if there is some family history there. This is how you could introduce these foods. I will stress, do not introduce any of these foods if you have been told by a doctor that your child has an allergy to these foods. Okay, this is for people who have been either told by their specialist to introduce them, or people whose child doesn't have a food allergy and you've got no reason to think that they do have. Okay, so eggs, well cooked scrambled egg is a really good place to start. If your child is already tolerating eggs in baked goods, even better. Okay, so we know that with children who have food allergy, it's the protein that they're allergic to. And when we bake something into a cake or, something like that, that's well cooked in the oven, 180 degrees for 20 minutes, it bakes out the proteins. So sometimes with children that are allergic to eggs and cow's milk, we get them to have baked muffins, because it's a good place to start with a child who we believe is growing out of their egg and milk allergies. Because there's less allergenic protein in there. So eggs, yeah, well cooked scrambled eggs is a great place to start. Just a little bit on a teaspoon, go as slow as you like, but we need to make sure that you can build up to a teaspoon at least, and you can give that over a few days. And if there's no reaction, then, we can go for, as much as you like. Cow's milk, we can just try cow's milk formula, or if they're 12 months, then we can go straight for cow's milk. But before 12 months, we would recommend that you get the cow's milk in there. If they're having a cow's milk formula, then job done. They're fine. If they're not, then cow's milk in yogurt, cheese, all these kind of things. If they're just having cheese, then we should grade up to some yogurts as well. We want things with a bit more of the protein in this, and we know they're okay. And at 12 months, they can just have straight cow's milk. Tree nuts, it's very easy to introduce tree nuts to young children because we would either grind them up in a blender, or we would buy hazelnut meal, almond meal, pastes. If you go to the health food aisle, there's always heaps of pastes. There's ABC paste, which is almond, Brazil, cashew. We can use that. Otherwise, just grind them up, okay? What we recommend is that what you can do is if you want to introduce nuts one at a time, then do it slowly over a few days. Once you know your child is okay with the nut, you can mix that nut with anything, ground up nut with yogurts or in a bolognese or anything at all, sprinkled on pasta, it doesn't matter. Once you know they're okay with those nuts, you can add that nut to a tub that you will be compiling in the fridge. So you want some Tupperware tub, and into that tub, every time they're okay with the nut, add that ground up nut to the nut mix in the tub in the fridge. They keep for months in the fridge all ground up, and at least once a week, sprinkle those nuts onto something of your child's. So sprinkle it onto, their yogurt or their bolognese or their anything you like, it doesn't matter. But one of the important things is that once you start introducing these foods, you need to keep it in the diet. But being a parent, life is busy. You can't be thinking about all the different 9 tree nuts or however many tree nuts individually. So get that tub, every time they're okay with the nut, add it in. Okay, you can do that with peanut as well. Add them all together. Even though we know that peanut is not a nut, it's actually a legume, that's fine to add it in. Add your sesame as well, once you know they're okay with it. If you're thinking, well, I don't know when they'll next have sesame in anything. Although sesame and peanut are a bit easier because they are in common foods. But that's what you can do with your tree nuts. Try and make life as simple as possible and plus they're a good source of vitamins, minerals, proteins, fibers, and all that kind of thing as well. Sesame, so sesame, the sesame is funny. It doesn't break down in the body very easily, and it often comes out the nappy the other end. So what you can do is giving tahini and adding it to a dip is great because it's ground up sesame, and we've got to the inside of that little seed. If your child may be okay with sesame on a bun, raw, just the raw sesame as it is, but we would prefer that it was ground up to know that they're absolutely fine with it. And we know that it's ground up in tahini and things like that. So sometimes a child who has a sesame allergy can tolerate sesame on a bun because it doesn't break down in the body. So they actually don't really get exposed to those proteins. So sesame, we go for some kind of dip with tahini. Peanut's an easy one because you can just eat it on its own with a bit of toast. Good quality, smooth peanut butter for a young child. Try and make sure they don't smear it all around their mouth because they can have a bit of a contact reaction around the mouth sometimes, but best to try and get it straight in. I know that's almost impossible with little ones, but or if you don't eat a lot of peanut butter, then just ground up some peanuts and add them to that tub in the fridge. Wheat, so here we've just, you've got bread, you've got pasta, you've got all sorts of things with wheat. That's a very easy dish. You can get the baby pasta and add the wheat there. Fish, very easy to feed fish to a very young baby because white fish breaks down lovely into puree. So all your cods, haddocks, anything that you would normally eat, you don't need to go introducing random fish if you don't actually eat it or you can't get hold of it in your local area. So any kind of white fish, very easy to break down, and very easy for babies to eat because it kind of melts in the mouth. Shellfish, just include the shellfish that you eat as a family. We don't need to be going to introduce mussels or oysters to a baby if actually you're just never going to eat them. But anything with prawns, lobster, crab, anything like that, we would recommend not starting with the tinned because it has a lot less protein in it. So if you can start with the fresh, if they're okay with the fresh, the fresh tinned crab or things like that, then we know they're okay with the tinned. And soy, you can just start with some soy milk, soy yogurt, anything like that, just to make sure they're okay with the soy. That's very, very easy to introduce. So just a few food allergy facts and stats here. 1 in 10 children under the age of 12 months has a diagnosed food allergy in Australia, and the UK and the USA are not far behind. 90% of food allergy is caused by the top 9 allergy foods, but you can have an allergic reaction to any food. 8% of those children who have a food allergy have an egg allergy, and 2% of those children have a dairy allergy. But 80% of those aforementioned egg and milk allergic children will grow out of their allergy by school age. So that's really, really encouraging. If you are unlucky enough to have a child with a food allergy to egg and milk, then you know they have a really good chance of growing out of it. So lastly, we'll just go back over these tips for introducing nuts. So introduce nuts to young children by using pastes or ground up nuts like almond or hazelnut meal. Most nut pastes can be found in the health food aisle of a supermarket. Alternatively, you can buy the whole nuts and grind them up in a food processor like we've just spoken about. Introduce them one at a time unless you can find some paste such as ABC paste, and this will be fine to give. Once they've had it 2 or 3 times, there's no reaction, and then you can just include it in their regular diet. Remember about that tub. And yep, all the safe nuts go into a tub in the fridge, and that's how we can introduce them. So you may have seen the slides before with the eczema and the introducing foods. We're going to go over them next week. But in the meantime, you know where they are. You know where we are, sorry. If you have any questions, please get in touch. And if you are an allergy mum, remember that we have the Nest Allergy membership, which is everyday support from our allergy professionals to support you in between those specialists' appointments. Just go to thenestcpr.com/allergy-membership. Anyway, we'll take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.